He also never defended me when his mother would stop by, unannounced, and the household wasn't up to the Queen's standard. I felt so exhausted and trapped, and if it weren't for my kids, Junior, 34M, Sarah, 32F, Michelle, 29F, and Mike, 29M, I would have left years ago. Unfortunately, Dan did not share the same values as I did and blindsided me with divorce papers. It was a rough process, but after the first year of our divorce being finalized, I got my groove back, and within the next 4 years, I was able to get a nice apartment and a good career. Fast forward to the present, a couple of weeks ago, Dan was rushed to the hospital, and while the doctors were able to save him, his health took a turn for the worse. His wife is now essentially working to provide for their kids, while her parents watch them to save on daycare. I learned all of this through my children, as I do not care to have any direct contact with Dan, but almost every time I talk to them, they always bring up how stressed and tired they are from having to look after their father. I thought I was just being a sympathetic ear, but a couple of days ago, my children came together to confront me about my lack of willingness to offer assistance to their father. They said that as their mother, I should want to care for him to make their lives easier. My children know that, while I have a full-time job, I can make up my own hours, and they want me to come to his house at least twice a week to make sure he's clean and fed, or pay for a nurse to do it. I refused, stating that Dan and I have been divorced for years and that their stepmom can handle it. That's when they told me that she doesn't care about their dad like they do and is most likely hoping for him to pass so she can collect on his insurance policy as the legal wife. My daughter Sarah then began to cry and asked me if I cared whether or not she had a dad anymore, while Junior and Mike thought I was being bitter. Michelle asked me to put them first and said that I could reschedule my anniversary trip with Angela. My former in-laws are also calling me, saying that I need to do this and that I'd be a horrible mom if I didn't. Am I wrong for not wanting to care for my ex-husband? Commenter. Turn this completely around and ask your children how long you're supposed to put your life on hold. Are you never allowed to be happy and live your life? Tell your children that, between the 4 of them and their grandparents, they can split the costs of hiring a nurse, healthcare professional, or domestic aid to go to their father's house twice a week. Why should you have to pay for his care? You don't have the bandwidth or mental strength to be their father's caregiver. It's manipulative and cruel of them to emotionally coerce you into becoming your ex's caregiver. Ops response. Dan's parents are retired and rely on him to pay their bills. I'm told that Dan's wife freaked out at the mention of having his parents move in to help save money, and his mom's mobility isn't great, so it's not like she can do all the cooking and cleaning. They all expect me not just to check on him, but to actually take care of him, as in feed him, wash him, give him his medicines at the appropriate times, help him with his exercises, etc. It would practically be a full-time job, and they want me to do it nearly every day, as if I don't have a job of my own. Also, my ex-in-laws have previously said they think I baby-trapped their precious baby boy because I didn't want to work, so they were happy when he left me. They felt he deserved better and even accused one of my children of not being his because they didn't look enough like him. Update 2 months 2 weeks later. I saw that I had a few messages from people asking for an update, so I thought I'd share. First, some people seemed confused, so let me be clear, I'm a woman who is married to another woman. My own parents passed away years ago, so their opinion is irrelevant. My wife and I both have children from previous relationships, but we didn't meet until after our children were adults, so my wife and I are the only ones who have lived together. Now, onto what almost everyone cares about the most. I went on the cruise. It was great, and my wife and I had a wonderful time. Predictably, my children were unhappy, and I'm sure my temporary blocking of them didn't help. Most of them kept calling, telling me I was selfish and awful for choosing to go on vacation instead of being there for the family. But, as many of you have said, I reminded them that their father divorced me, and therefore my obligations to him ended. If any of them had a medical need, I would cancel without question, but I would not do that for their father. I thought I could leave it at that, but my kids kept calling and texting during the first 3 days of the trip, which is when I decided to block them. Unfortunately, my ex's health took a turn for the worse, and he had to go back to the hospital. His lack of proper care triggered an investigation. I don't know all the details, my kids didn't say, and I didn't ask, but apparently, instead of getting better, he's getting worse because all of the doctor's orders aren't being followed. I didn't know any of this until I unblocked my kids the day I got back, and some of them blamed me for it. I've come to the conclusion that they're all just mad at the situation, and I'm a convenient villain. I've accepted this because I can understand the fear and anger of facing the idea of losing a parent you love. I just hope that one day we can all sit down with a family therapist and mediate the situation. However, this did start to trigger my past tendencies of sacrificing my own happiness and well-being for my children, but my wife, therapist, and even a small part of my inner self reminded me that my children are adults, and my ex isn't my responsibility. I tried to reach out, but so far, most of my children aren't speaking to me and have made it very clear that I will not be able to see my grandchildren as punishment. It's sad, and I'm still wrestling with the guilt and doubt, but my wife and stepchildren are being very supportive, while my other family is a mix, and most of my friends are neutral. Commenter. Why aren't the kids helping him? Ops response. To be fair, they were helping out in the beginning, but they've had to take time away from work and their own families to support their father, and the pressure is starting to wear on them. I live closer and have much more free time than they do, and I did raise them with the expectation that I would always sacrifice for them when they were growing up.